Here we have Call the Play, my superstar 3-year-old, who had his first post track ride yesterday and was so just unbelievable. Like, this horse is like next level incredible that I got on him bareback at the end of the ride, which of course he was perfect for because that's just how he is. So, in a perfect world, I would have probably given him off today, but Billy's going to be traveling the next couple of days, so I wanted to squeeze in his second ride before Billy left, so he's going to get the next few days off. So I thought we'd take him out to the field today. And he's not been out to this jump field before. I have no idea how he is with traffic going by and all that kind of stuff. But he just gives this feeling like nothing is going to phase him. So I thought it was worth a shot. And I didn't think it would be stressful for him. And he absolutely met all of my expectations and then some because he was even willing to pop over a little log at the end of it. So he was just an absolute rock star. So we get out there, and I just sort of wanted to walk him around for a minute, let him see all the things that there are to see. Obviously, he's very happy and willing to just sort of hack around on a loose rein. The grass out there is really long. The field needs to be bush hogged, so it's sort of clumpy and long. And actually, we got a couple inches of rain the other day. It's a little bit wet where he is there down the bottom. So the footing wasn't perfect, but actually he did a really good job. I think he only tripped like once the entire ride, and he tripped because he was coughing. So he was coughing and distracted from his feet, so he had a trip. So really, he was super about handling the footing. He just has this very calm presence that he gives. You can just, when you're working with him on the ground, you can just feel it. And the second you sit on his back, you can tell that this is just a super, super quiet, kind horse, and not much is going to phase him. So when we picked up the Trot, it's sort of the same thing as yesterday. It's just his second post track ride. Today I'm throwing him into a totally new environment. So, of course, I would like to encourage some roundness and connection. However, I'm not going to force that down his throat. I want this to be a positive experience for him. So, I'm having a little conversation with him about trying to find some connection, which here you can see he is thinking about it. Here we're going down the incline part of the field. So you can see he sort of comes above there. Oh, he's coughing here. That's what he's doing. He's having his little coughing episode. But he did always find that both directions to be the most challenging thing, which of course would be expected. It's just his second post-track ride. He's just learning about the connection. So of course the part of the field where he's coming on the downhill slope is going to be the hardest part for him to sort of learn to sit back and maintain that connection. And then of course he coughed his way through this part. He had his little trot. At this point, I just sort of loosened the reins and I was just like, take the time you need to figure out this cough you have going on. But he got it sorted. So then I picked the reins back up and we just sort of resumed our little conversation about finding some connection. And you can see here, he gave me some really nice steps. So, of course, it's not going to be perfect. We would never expect it to be perfect. Sometimes he comes above. Sometimes he puts his head pretty low and has a very low frame. What I like though is he never wants to dip behind the frame. I would always prefer that a horse stay a little above the frame or have their nose poked out a little bit versus coming behind the vertical. I find that that's pretty challenging to fix. And I don't like that feeling of the horse sort of not wanting to take any sort of connection with my hand. So he is just a very normal 3-year-old horse in the connection, just trying to figure out all his pieces. He's always trying. He's always thinking about what I'm asking. Here he's coming down the hill. So, of course, this is the harder part for him. I think I sort of lost his right shoulder here. But now here we're back on sort of level ground. And then he comes right back. He starts finding some softness again. And he's cool because he just never changes his rhythm. No matter what's going on, he just keeps the same 1-2 rhythm the entire time around the field. Up the hill, down the hill, traffic going by, doesn't matter. There we go. He gave me a couple nice steps there. I like this frame here that he's giving. This is a great place for him to be. That's very good. Good boy. Came above it for a stride, but then he was super quick to come right back. And I will say, I was having to use quite a bit of leg the other day when I rode him in the ring. But of course, being outside the ring, being in a field, the big open space, all the new things, he was definitely a little more perked up today and more forward flowing in his trot. I didn't feel like I had to jump right to the canter just to get him sort of moving, which is to be expected and good, right? Because he's so quiet in the ring. We would hope that we can use some motivational external factors to get him a little bit excited. And I mean, if this is what excited looks like, then it's pretty low key. I thought he did a better job that time, sort of quickly regaining and having his balance as he got down to the bottom of that slope. And then I thought this was quite nice here. Really like that. He's definitely starting to get it. So I asked for the left canter. Yesterday he got the left canter when I asked. The first time today he was sort of married to the right lead, which, I'm not going to read too much into that. The horse is in a brand new environment, doing something completely different. So if his go-to is to pick up his right lead, it sounds like after today I would say that his right lead probably is his stronger preferred lead, which they all have one. So he got the right lead. He picked up the right lead, obviously. We came up the hill. I wanted him to spend a few seconds in the right lead because I don't want him to feel like I'm yanking him down. He did a lovely canter transition, so he gets to spend a couple of steps in that canter. We came back to the trot. I asked one more time. Again, he got the right lead. So I'm not going to make a production about this. He's doing a lovely transition. He has a super balanced, calm, comfortable canter. So we just cut across the field, did a little U-turn to reverse and change directions. So now that we've changed to the right, this is the first time he's gone to the right today. So I'm sort of having a conversation with him about establishing a little bit of right bend, telling him that the connection is actually the same to the right as it is to the left. Good boy. And then here I thought he started to sort of find the connection a little bit, so that was really good. He did a great job. He actually had a much easier time on the downhill part of the field in the canter than he did in the trot, which is great because it's always harder to fix the canter than it is the trot. And he's just so cool because his rhythm just never changes. Lovely down transition. He's just, this is a cool cucumber, this horse. No cares about the traffic going by. And then here he's figuring it out for me. I think that's quite a nice shape he's making. He also was just so brave about everything in the field. No spooking at the logs, the pipes, no spooking at the woods. And my neighbors are on the other side of this wood line here with the pine trees, and their dog Boots has a fenced in backyard. So he'll go out in the backyard and you'll hear him barking and things, which is why actually we can't turn our personal horses out in this field because they act like that is the boogeyman and they just lose their minds. So we gave up on that a couple of years ago. But play here was just super about not caring about anything. So then I decided to give him a little break from asking him about the contact and just sort of show off how quiet and easy he is. So we did a little loop in the rain. Of course, I have to do a little bit of steering here to get going up the hill. But that's it. It's just for steering. You can totally just drop the reins and nothing changes. Pretty incredible, really. So I thought we would go back to the left and I would try for the left lead one more time. And he picks up the right lead. And then I thought to myself, well, every time we're going to the left and I ask him to canter, he picks up the right lead. So, what are the odds that if we go to the right and I ask him to canter, he picks up the left lead? So, sort of silly, but I thought, why not give it a try? And if this didn't work, I was just going to leave it be. So, we did our little roll back turn, cut across the field to find our way to the right again. And sure enough, I can think like a 3-year-old thoroughbred. I was pretty, I thought that was pretty comical that I figured out his little game at this. So we got our left lead, and then he's just doing this beautiful sort of roll back turns across the field. So we came back across the field, rolled back to the left, and then we had a nice little canter around. And here, so now of course we've cantered a bit. So he's getting much better with finding the connection here in the canter. He's softer. He's taking some really nice round steps. And then he got a little low there for a second. But they have to try everything and there's nothing wrong with that. So here we're coming down the hill, so I sort of sat down a little bit more in the saddle to help him balance up. And he did a super job with this. His balance in the canter is just so nice. So easy for him. Such a good boy. I just cannot get over that this horse is just 3 years old. He's not been ridden in months and months and months, and this is just how he goes. He's just such a happy camper. So at this point, I thought that that was plenty to do on the flat. He could not have been better. I did think that since he's just being such a cool customer, that it's not a bad idea just to see if he'll walk over a log, just to see if he'll entertain it. And so we took a little walk break there, and then so we walked all the way around the field. And then before I approached the log, which I just did here, I let him walk a circle around the log and I let him walk right next to it, but parallel to it, not perpendicular to it, because I want him to learn that when he's perpendicular to the log or to whatever it is, we're going over the thing. So I let him have a good look at it, walking by it parallel. And then we walked over it twice. He was just super, couldn't have cared less, super brave boy. And then we came a couple times in the trot. And the first time, of course, this is just a very chill horse. So he's not going to overjump it, put a huge amount of effort in, which is fine because it's very safe and comfortable. So the first 2 times we trotted it, he landed in the trot, which is no problem. I'm just glad that the horse is willing to give it a go. And then this last time we did it, which was our last time, he landed in a canter, which I was thrilled with because that's him putting it all together and starting to figure out that it's easier to land in a nice balanced canter than it is to land in a trot. Doing quite a bit of squeezing to make this happen. Good boy. And he got his left lead, which is great because that was the lead that we had a little bit tougher time getting today. So that was super, and obviously then he's going to be done with that. Really good boy. So I walked him back to the barn, and this is something I do with my personal horses, get off at the block. And he was super.